morning. Today I'll be presenting an analysis of two major cybersecurity incidents, the first being MGM Resorts and the second being Okta customer support. These cases highlight how modern attacks increasingly target identity, trust, and third-party systems rather than just technical vulnerabilities. The purpose of this analysis is to learn from the failures of MGM Resorts and Okta. These breaches matter because they show that even well resourced organizations can be compromised when attackers exploit human processes, trusted access paths, and, in general, the weakest links. They also demonstrate how small initial failures can escalate into enterprise wide security incidents. We will elaborate on those later. First, we will conduct an overview of both MGM and Okta, uh, identify the attack vectors used, uh, identify the root causes involved, and most importantly, uh, learn from the response failures of MGM and Okta. We will apply lessons learned from these failures to our own security posture here at Secure FinTech so that we may avoid similar fates as these organizations. And furthermore, we will address emerging threats from AI enhanced ransomware and insider threats. So, first, with the MGM overview, there were 10 days of outages that impacted hotel reservations, slot machines, digital room keys, and payment systems. 37 million customers were affected, and many of them had their personal information exposed. In the end, over $100 million in financial losses were accumulated. The attackers were identified as the Scattered Spider threat group, working in collaboration with the Alpha VA, or also referred to as Black Cat or Alpha V group. Now, it is important that we take a look at the MGM Resorts incident because the attackers had used social engineering to cause such devastation. They impersonated an employee and gained access through the help desk, which was convinced that the attackers were just a simple employee requesting their credentials to be reset. Once inside, the attackers were able to move laterally, escalate their privileges, and deploy ransomware across critical systems. As for the Okta breach, customer support systems were targeted and breached by the attackers. Personal information like full names and emails were exposed, but what was more critical is that the HTTP archive files were accessed. These files contained sensitive session tokens and cookies, which gave the attackers access to customer networks, which they then cascaded their attack from there. Nearly all customer support users under Okta had their data exposed. Originally, it was reported by Okta as only 1% of approximately their 18,000 customers, but a later statement by Okta would reveal that nearly all customer support users had been affected. The Okta breach followed a different path but revealed very similar weaknesses to the MGM breach. The attackers compromised a third party customer support system using stolen credentials, which they then used to gain access to the sensitive session data that was left unprotected in the HTTP archive files. From there, Okta was able, well, the attackers were able to enlarge their attack and deploy ransomware and steal data as they pleased. Because Okta sits at the center of identity management for many different organizations, this breach was very devastating for many different organizations that are customers to Okta. Let's see. From a governance perspective, these incidents highlighted gaps in identity governance, vendor risk management, and incident escalation procedures. It was very clear that in both of these cases, there was weak governance of support processes, inadequate access controls, insufficient identity verification, overly permissive access, and poor security awareness and training. Frameworks like the NIST cybersecurity framework emphasize the need for clearly defined roles and access oversight, as well as third party accountability. And it is clear to me that from both of these cases, these areas were not fully enforced. For defensive security measures, we have technical controls and process improvements. Defensively, organizations need to adopt an identity first security model. This would include phishing resistant multi factor authentication, strict privilege management, EDR monitoring, uh, behavioral detections, privileged access management, automatic session token removal, and network segmentation, for the technical side at least. For the processes side, it's important that employees are given social engineering awareness and training. They are provided with strict verification procedures that they adhere to, and that they exercise incident response plans regularly. The NIST framework can help with these defensive security measures a lot, uh, by identifying uh, the risks and vulnerabilities you have, and then respond, recover, and absolve yourself of the issues. Now, aligning these controls with the CIS, critical security controls, can also help because it ensures defenses are mapped to known attack vectors. You are able to familiarize yourself with the attacks that you will need to deal with defensively. As for offensive security measures, I recommend red teaming and penetration testing. Red teaming can simulate real world attacks and identify security gaps. It's also very valuable in testing the your readiness against social engineering attacks and evaluating the scale of privileges within an organization. As for pen testing, the pen testing can be used to conduct vulnerability scans, validate patches and configurations, and recommend remediation options depending on the findings. Now, the key lessons that we'd like to learn from assessing these cases is that identity systems are primary targets for attackers. That is the main lesson to be learned from here. Additionally, it's important that we understand that support functions are high risk assets. They need to be protected and considered at all times. Third, we need to know that AI will improve the speed and scale of attacks. AI is capable of holding heavy loads of data sets and conducting rapid assessments that attackers will take advantage of. Finally, failures in governance and processes can amplify technical weaknesses. Just because we have strong technical defenses does not mean that we are uh, strongly defended. Attackers will go for the weakest links, and if our governance and processes are weak, they will simply bypass our technical strengths by going towards our governance failures. Now, preparing for AI enhanced threats, it is important that we maintain and expand authentication and behavior monitoring. We need to be aware of this. Second, we need to use AI defensively for detecting and alerting suspicious patterns. Our attackers are going to be using AI, and so should we. Thirdly, we need to improve insider threat detection and access review processes. We need to enforce least privilege, zero trust architecture, and strict access controls. Fourth, we need to align controls with NIST CSF and MITRE ATT&CK regularly. We need to make sure that we are staying ahead and keeping true to proven frameworks. Now, thank you. Are there any questions? As you can see, we have references here, and I think it's important that the key lessons from both these breaches is that cybersecurity failures are rarely caused by single technical weaknesses.